farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. Well, this week was another one of not a ton of farm action because it was the Labor Day long weekend. And as a family, so my parents and us here on the farm, decided that we'd go away together for the long weekend. We had planned a trip interstate as a family before COVID, but it got cancelled because of all of the shutdowns, and we decided that rather than trying to do that holiday, we would instead just do something within Victoria, not too far away, not high risk, and just have a small getaway and maybe do a couple of these rather than something a bit bigger. So we investigated and found a log cabin close to Mansfield near Mount Buller, not very far from here really, a couple of hours drive. And the reason we chose a log cabin is because, another COVID thing, during lockdown, our weekly schedule for us was to sit and watch Log Cabin Living, which is an American show about people who are looking to buy log cabins. And they just seemed really cool, so we wanted to stay in one. So we found this log cabin. It had a porch, it was surrounded by really tall trees. It was in a little quiet settlement with lots of other log cabins, so it was interesting to sort of walk around and see all these other cabins as well. It had an open fire, which we didn't use, it wasn't that cold, but it was sort of, it gave that cozy vibe. And it had a loft, plenty of space for all of us. There was a couple of lounge areas to sit, and it was just a really nice weekend to get away and relax. We walked to a waterfall close by, which was really beautiful. We had some competition, we played some board games, and some of us played golf, not me, for a family trophy, which is now on the line anytime we decide that we want to compete for it. So I haven't had the pleasure of holding the trophy yet, but I am sure over the course of all of the silliness that we get up to, we're always doing something competitive, that I might get my hands on it at some point. So we kind of did some stuff together each morning, and then in the afternoons we all sort of broke away, found our own little quiet spot and relaxed. So obviously my quiet was knitting, which was really lovely. I got quite a lot done, which I'll show you quite soon. But everyone else sort of took their own time to just be by themselves, and then we'd come back for some board games in the afternoon and dinner. And it was really, really nice. But here on the farm, I've noticed that the pumpkins are starting to turn orange. Now, I've never grown pumpkins successfully before. I've had the little plants, but I've never actually had flowers and fruit. So to have that happening is really quite exciting. So I'll be carefully watching the progress of those, and hopefully they will ripen properly and we'll get some delicious pumpkins to eat. And just in the last week or so, it's become really evident in the paddocks that the spraying that we have done has worked. You can really see where the blackberries have turned brown, and it's really pleasing to see. We put a lot of work into doing all of that spraying, and to start to see the results is really encouraging. Landcare recommend leaving them for about 6 months before doing anything, just to make sure that the full effect of the spray has done everything it needs to the plant. You need to have the canes and the leaves exposed so that it can take in as much of the poison and really get down into the roots. So we've still got a long way to go before we can actually deal with the dead canes and get them away, so that no new sprouts come up through the middle or new bushes grow over the top. But having seen the progress that we've made and the effect that we've had already is really encouraging. And now we can go through and spot spray the bits that we missed, because we can now see there's some areas that are still quite green, so we can just go through and spray those, and then we just wait, and we will then have the big job of knocking everything down probably in a couple of months from now. I've got some yarn soaking right now, ready for a dye session today after I finish recording. And my plan is that I will dye some golden ticket with the correct recipe this time. And then I will have all of my Wonka colours dyed up on sock yarn. And I thought for Easter, I would then break down some of that into some mini skeins and create some Wonka sets of all of the colours into little packs, which I've done before and they were quite popular. So I thought that, that would be a nice thing to do for Easter, sort of a low calorie, no sugar kind of Easter present that you could give to a knitter. So that should be fun. And then I have a little bit more in the pot and I'm thinking I might just have a little bit of a play. I've got an idea in my head and I'm going to see if that will work. I do have to remember that I need to pop in a little bit of spare yarn into that dye batch so that I have a little bit I can knit up and play with to see if it comes out how I was thinking. So I can show you all of the results of this dye session next week. And I might even take a little bit of video. So as I said, we were away on our log cabin weekend and I had plenty of time to sit and knit. I had a couple of goals and I achieved those, which I'm very pleased with. The first one was to finish the sleeves of my Mariteo pullover, which I've been putting off for a little while. I was worried about getting the length right. And it's something that I always toy with. I'm never sure exactly what length to knit it to, but I've noticed that what I do with my sleeves is I end up sort of pushing them up to mid forearm anyway. So if they're not super long, it doesn't matter, but I would like to have my sleeves full length so that I can wear them down and get warm if I need to. So 2 sleeves now done. I just have to weave in the ends. I'm going to leave them until I've finished in case when I do try it on at the very end it does need to be a little bit longer, but I'm really pleased with these now. And now what I do, I'm back to knitting on the body, which has no shaping. That's upside down. So there's the yoke at the top and I'm down. I've still got a fair way to go on the body, but then it has 5 rows of purple near the bottom and the ribbing, so it ends up looking similar to the sleeve. So now what I'm doing is when I'm working on the body, I'm actually putting the sleeves, I'm pulling them inside the body so that they look like that, so that they're not flopping around while I'm turning the body of the sweater around. So it's now just sort of a mindless knitting around. There's no shaping. So this is an easy sit by the TV kind of project. I just need to measure it every once in a while just to see where I'm at in terms of the length. And it feels like it's going to take a while because I've measured it a couple of times and it doesn't feel like it's growing. But I know what will happen is all of a sudden I'll be at the length that I want. So I have to keep measuring just to make sure I don't sort of go too far. And I will have plenty of yarn left. I was worried that I wouldn't have enough for the green. The pattern, I think, had me looking like I was going to be pretty close. But I've finished the first ball of green and I'm working on, after finishing the sleeves, I've still got 2 reasonably sized balls left. So I am certainly going to have enough to get the length in the body that I want, which I'm really pleased about. My other goal for the weekend was to get some really good progress done on my flamingo lane socks, which I did. Pretty much done the first lot of the flamingos. And about to start the heads of the second flamingos as they connect in with the first, and then the long legs of the flamingo will go down. I'm really happy with how these are turning out. My tension has been really good and the colour work is looking really good. There's a couple of spots where I've sort of had to pull it out a little bit, but I think once it's finished and I block it, it'll come out looking good. So I'm just being careful with these and not just jumping and knitting on them whenever. I need to be relaxed. I need to be in a quiet spot so that I can properly read the chart, and so that I can make sure that my tension is staying really nice and consistent, and that I'm making sure that I'm keeping my floats neat and long enough so that I'm not making the socks too tight. So sitting on the porch of the log cabin was perfect for these. There was a big table so I could sit my chart down, I could sort of lounge back, and it was the perfect blend of concentration and relaxation. The other thing that I've been working on is the second of my pink and grey striped socks with the slip stitches on the leg. So I've cast on the second one, and I'm about a little ways from putting in the heel. And for these I am trying the Addy Crazy Trio needles that I showed you last week. So as you can see, it is on 2 of the needles, and the third one is your working needle that you knit off with. So it's like working with double pointed needles, but only using 3. So there's not as much sort of poking you in the hands. So the bendy bit in the middle helps you to get that flexibility that you need to reach the stitches. And you're also not having to shuffle the stitches around onto the tips to start knitting. Like with Magic Loop, you're doing a lot of sliding and pushing of the needles and the stitches to get them ready to knit the next round. But with these, they're already sitting on the tips, so you don't have to push it over the join. It's just already there, and you can start knitting straight away. So the learning curve for me on these was pretty easy, and I'm really enjoying them. It seems a little bit quicker, I think, than Magic Loop, and I've never been a fan of double points, so I think it's a good happy medium between the two. I'm a toe up knitter, so the cast on was easy for me. I've heard some people say that a cuff down cast on is a little bit trickier. So perhaps if I do that, I might not enjoy that so much, but for this it was easy. I just did my normal cast on, and it just knit up beautifully. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.